Capitalist. I'm your host, DJ Flores, in my mobile office again today, and we got Coach back home. Coach, how's it going? How's your
It's
weekend?
it was not as eventful as it could have been. We thought the storm was going to be a lot worse than it, but it turned a little west. And as you saw, we had a little bit, but it definitely wasn't as eventful as it could have been. So it was a good weekend.
Yes, I agree. It was a lot of buckling down. Like, oh, okay, we're new Virginia Beach people here. What are we dealing with? Maggie, shout out to Maggie's brother and dad. They're the weather guys. They're the fishing guys, so they're always on the weather. And so they're kind of keeping us up to date. And they've both being from Louisiana, they know how to deal with this stuff. But yeah, we're like, okay, this is exciting, but what are we expecting? And then it just kind of missed us. Like it just kind of
Yeah.
went around us, which was nice.
And
So
it's
yeah, we
probably a little different for you guys when you hear things like, yeah, the wind topped out at like 50 miles an hour. It was nothing to it. That's that's still kind of windy, but
that's
but
the
really
winter.
at 50, it's not too big of a problem. But fortunately, the flooding wasn't nearly as bad as we've seen in other storms that come up that way. So it was, I'd call that a win for the weekend.
I agree. I agree. And there was a win for the Brown. Shout out to the elf. The Browns came back after that Nick Chubb devastation. But yeah, it was a good weekend. But I am excited. So do want to get you all kind of ready for this episode. Again, he's back. Like I have it, Johnny Neal's back. We're talking AI. We're hitting the bug there, and we a shout out to Daniela and her husband. We got them coming on next week. They were actually supposed to be this week. They're with the handyman service. They're with the franchise, new to the franchise world, new to business ownership. So anybody out there who's listening, who wants to kind of hear how that journey's been and how their journey's been with their franchise system, again, we're going to get into that next week. So we'll get more into that, but we do want to really just get ready for Johnny. So he's back. Again, we had him on last week. We got into the nuts and bolts. There's certain things that he touched on. One thing that I'll kind of plant the seed for as we start is and it was one of the quotes from Cast Magic, and hopefully my computer will open up here so I don't waste too much time. But it was one of his quotes, and it was getting on the idea of being human, and that's what we seen that struck a bug, and it obviously makes no sense to especially people who are talking about AI. How does that make you more human? But it was really the freedom and the freeing up of time so you have that more meaningful conversation. And that's where we really want to get into. He had mentioned, and it didn't even again dawn on me, how AI can really be that bug in your ear, kind of like I have these headphones on right now. And like you mentioned, a lot of guys out there with his storm chasing that are up on the roofs, and how handy that can really be in the use case of just using it to input those specific things or those check marks that your techs, your inspectors could need while they're on the roof. And
Yeah, that
it's
was a
just
cool use case. That was
oh
really a cool use case.
oh, it was amazing. It was amazing, and I want to really dive more into that. And we're going to get into some more things, AI, and just where we can really use AI for good. Why it doesn't have to be the scary overtaking AI, iRobot theory that they're trying to paint out there, and just really what it can do to help you be more human. So let's get into that. Let's bring Johnny
Let's
out.
roll. And if
And
anybody, if there are any Bengals, Steelers, Ravens fans that want to poke fun at the elf, you can put that in the comments too. We can have a little fun along the way.
please do. I will rock the alpha all the time. Thanks, Coach. Let's get this started.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead and feel it all. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful.
What's going on, everybody? Let's bring Johnny back out. Johnny,
He's
what's
back.
up, man? He's back. Hey, look
Hey,
at that.
guys.
What's up? And so, for y'all who didn't catch him last time, this is Johnny Neal with Bid Tech Voice AI, like you see right there. We're going to be talking voice AI. We're going to talk a little get three bids and smart marketplace. We're going to just get more into AI. But thanks for coming back, man. So obviously, Johnny, we're excited to have you come back. AI, the buzz, it's all over. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it taking over the world? Or robots coming to take over everything? And so I'm glad we got to have you come back. That I know, Coach, when we got into certain things, I could tell he was chomping at the bit to get some more questions of how maybe it could be used for just the solopreneur, to somebody who's watching right now, and how we can make it be like I kind of I'm tagging it myself, and I'm going to keep tagging it. It could be let it be the secret weapon, the David's slingshot for Goliath. Let it be that slingshot for you, and it really can be if you're using it for these use cases. But we what we left out was how can you really find and get in more, and so that's where I really wanted to start. Was like a lot of our other services, even like Coach with Focal Point Coaching. Again, there isn't a one solution fits all. Just like in sales, guys, there's no one magic word, one magic button, one magic thing that fixes, and it's gonna open the gates, and here comes all the sales and all the customers you ever need. Like, if anybody's telling you that, don't believe them. Um, and it's really, you need a service that wants to get into the deep with you, wants to understand your processes, like Dr. Steve. Again, he said his first initial consultation, he doesn't have a magic pill. Like he said, a pill for every ill. We don't want to have the pill for every ill. We want to know what you're working with, what you're dealing with, what is causing you pain, because again, your pain might be different than this business or that business's pain. So there is not a one size fits all, and that's what works here with BidTech and with what Johnny has with Voice AI. He's gonna want to get down with that initial consultation. So you're gonna want to reach out and just get down into the nuts and bolts of what you're working on, what your process currently looks like. And then he's gonna, like a doctor would, like Dr. Steve, like Coach would, Coach Stacy, they're gonna see what you're working on, what your current processes look like, and they're gonna sit there and try to figure out, okay, what do they have? What tools do they have in their toolbox that can maybe help take that off of your plate, automate it, either delegate it some way, another position, Coach would line you up there, or maybe it's an AI, maybe it's some sort of tech or AI that Johnny has and that his team has, that they can automate that and take that off your plate. So it's really getting down into the deep with it. And so I want to get more into that, Johnny, where I guess you do have, again, you have some different customers out there. You have window service providers, you have roofing, and some of the other ones. But so obviously there's different use cases. Give some of the examples, or how they can really get into the uses, or where you dive deep in with them, and where you see some fundamentals that they can get into.
Yeah, thank you. And first, I want to start off by saying God is good, and we're called to work, right? And in doing so, we have to go through the process of work. Over the last week, I even had to do a little extra work to get everything caught up to speed. And so you'll see on our website, bidtech.io, we've added pricing there. Definitely some easier workflows to get to where you want to go, information you want to know, etc. But to dive into your question there, and thank you for expressing that, we're not just a one size fits all instant gratification company. We want to dive in. We want to, understand your processes, understand your stack, and look at the tools that are available in the market and see if there's a solution there, and try those over time. So moving into that, what are some of the use cases that we've seen for companies that we work with? Well, communication's a big one. And internal communication, having like I'm sure a lot of your viewers have a Slack channel or something along those lines, maybe a Pronto or a GroupMe, where they can stay abreast instead of having like just a text message thread with a group text that's not integrated with your systems, where you can call on files and you can call on certain deals and talk about those things and highlight those things, and maybe a channel that's specific to accounting or technology support or back-end management, any of those processes. Well, isn't it easier to go to a place where you want to have a conversation about something specific and know that it's going to get answered or know that it's going to be relevant for that topic versus let's everybody talk about everything in one message group text. And so it kind of gets out of line there. And that's one solution that we bring with a tool. And it's not, these tools aren't just desktop. You can carry them with you on your phone and mobile device applications that are very stable, that are at your fingertips to jump into right when you need it, whether that's analytics or communication or your CRM or your contracts, sign features. And so when we look at it, we say, okay, do you have something that solves for internal communication? Do you have something that solves for CRM? What are the buckets in your CRM? Is it very vague? Maybe it's only 3 different buckets: lead, prospect, invoicing. Well, we know that that's not going to give you as much information as if we built out really every step in your process. So let's say it starts with a lead, right? But then you have to have like an inspection or an appointment. So we want to put that in as a new bucket and, go to the next step. Are we presenting, right? And what was the outcome of the presentation? And then move it into quote creation. And then from quote creation, was it sent, right? That's the next bucket. And if we look at all of our clients across the board in our analytics and we say, okay, out of all of our clients, we have 30 that are in quote sent. They haven't moved to signed. Let's focus on those now versus just hoping that something happened, right? With them. And setting, automated tasks, automated calls, automated meeting appointments and calendars, and it auto-populating all the details of those records and of those customers for you. And information that maybe your client wants to know or you want to know going into this meeting is right there in front of you. So you don't have to say, okay, let me go click on my calendar. Let me create a new meeting. Let me go back over to my other system, grab that information, put that into the meeting, when you can automate that. And I know that just saves probably a few minutes, but it's a use case. And getting into some more use cases, going from, client accepts a proposal from you. Well, if they accept a proposal from you, don't you want to have it fire off a contract that is specific to that deal? And do you want to have to create that contract? Do you want to have to do those things? Probably not. So let's save you some time by having that automation in the background that says this job, this type project, these are the terms, auto create those terms, send it out to the client after you've reviewed it. So having all of that stuff is really, I guess, the change and the need. That would say.
I agree. Coach?
Well, so it's a big challenge everybody's facing right now is just finding people and employees, and it's just become a very difficult hiring environment. But then when I'm working with business owners, a lot of times I hear complaints about the people that they do have. But my belief is that it's rarely about the people. You can have the most dedicated, hardworking, just totally skilled people, and if your systems and processes have flaws, then they're never going to be able to achieve the level that you would want them to achieve. And so automation can really help in determining. So I'm guessing a lot of our listeners, a lot of new business owners especially, they really haven't spent a lot of time building out and thinking about what their systems even are. Just like you mentioned there, that they might be looking at a simplified version of what the system really needs to look like. So how do you, when you're working with someone, how are you able to get the information that you need to truly help? So I guess what I'm asking is, what does a consultation look like?
Yeah. So it's a deep dive into, the personnel, right? And what is your day-to-day? And if your day-to-day, and we're going to evaluate like, okay, step one, we set up we get a lead that comes in. How does that lead come in? Is that an email from, a third party, a lead provider? Well, when that email comes in, are you manually entering that into your CRM? Well, let's take an email parser, for instance, and have them send that lead into the email parser. Well, the email parser, what that's going to do for you is it's going to extract that data from that email, auto input it into your CRM. So now you didn't have to have a manual task. I actually once heard, a recommendation that you should have like receipts or invoices at XYZ company and have someone sitting behind those emails from, just sorting those out and manually entering them if it comes into this email. And I think that's a manual process that's very mundane and old school, where now you can have the technology to pick that up for you and take that on. Now, you asked, what are some of the other things we do? We want to sit and go through all of these different processes, from lead gen to appointment setting and scheduling, to the actual appointment itself, to what's going on after that. Is there a production workflow that we need to go through and that we need to solve some issues for? Everyone wants to know, what are our costs? What are different, elements to their business? Well, if you don't know, you don't know, right? Like where that's at and what stage of the process that's in. So we just want to, understand what are those steps, what are the systems that you currently have, and then we'll work on creating a solution that streamlines that process, but gives you more insight into what you're actually after. And that's taking a deal from start to close, and maybe a rehash, a touch point, triggering a AI voice to reach out to that customer, to collect more information or even to provide information. So some cool things, and maybe even to follow up with a representative and say, hey, you got 6 customers in this bucket. You might want to follow up with them today. And then move forward.
So for people, because there's a lot of fear around it for multiple reasons, but a lot of times we're just afraid of what we don't understand. What if somebody out there is thinking, man, it sounds really cool, but it also sounds really complicated. I don't know that I can ever figure this out. What would you tell somebody that's a little bit afraid?
Yeah, so I think about it like the QuickBooks effect. Prior to QuickBooks, we had ledgers and we had people writing checks, and like some organizations just had a ton of people, doing that manually, right? Well, once in QuickBooks wasn't the easiest thing in the world to adopt out of the gate. They've made it easier over time. But really when they started catching on and it started becoming a useful tool to solve for all those manual processes, everyone was like, oh, wow, I need to get QuickBooks. Great. So they implemented QuickBooks, and over time, it started to catch fire. The same thing's going to happen here with AI. And, it's that next QuickBooks effect where we're solving for those manual processes and tasks, and, just achieving a greater outcome or a better outcome than where we were yesterday, utilizing the tools and technology of today. And I know a lot of companies are, all in on their business, and they're not looking at, the horizon and actually investing time on a continuous basis to understand what tools are out there. So that's where we can pick up, and serve that to them without them having to do all the, research and background checking on these systems and understand what the tools do. So we're looking at those tools for them, seeing what's out there, and then bringing those as opportunities to connect to their systems.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. Now some of our benefits of Cast Magic. We got some great questions to follow up from our episode last week when we had you on Tuesday. One of the questions we wanted to get in to really to kind of to start it was, so one of the questions it came up with was, how can AI streamline the lead qualification process for businesses and improve customer engagement? And now we focused on the little touch points of the basics of the conversation, but can you get into the deep of how it can really help push them to that next phase of actually needing a live agent or needing somebody, and how it can I guess how AI can get there quicker, and from that start of the lead process to getting to a live agent and knowing that it's a qualified lead.
Yeah, so I think a couple points there. One would be, maybe you're not able to have the staff that's going to pick up every call. And if you miss a call on a lead, you can pretty much guarantee that lead's gone. They're going to find somebody else. Google's going to give them another resource or another company to go look at for that service. And they're hunting, right? They're hunting for a solution right now. So their, bandwidth they're going to spend is not going to be there. Having AI pick it up, it works tirelessly, never takes time off. It doesn't complain. It's ready and willing to answer that call, give more information, cover some of the prerequisites of, information you want to collect from those customers. And then you can make the decision by training the model to say, hey, let's kick this over to a live representative if available. And you may want to have someone on staff or a third party answering service that picks it up from that point if on request, right? So if it's middle of the night, you generally operate during the daytime. You want to have that support on the back end. During the daytime, you want to have the sales or the representative, customer service representative available and only be taking those calls. But also updating your CRM with some of the information that the AI's captured through their initial contact and conversation with that end client, is generally a lead source. And then we could go into campaigns, running different campaigns through social media, tracking that all in one location versus having to log into your Facebook versus your TikTok versus your LinkedIn versus these other platforms. Let's just bring it all into one system where now you can interact with the customers that click your post, hey, put a comment on your post. You can reply back to those right there within one cloud system versus having to log into each one of them and making it chaotic for the end user. And I think that really plays on employee happiness. And you make better systems for an employee. They're going to be happier with their day-to-day job, and that's going to reflect back to your customer. And if your customers are happy, employees are happy, you're going to gain traction and you're going to do well.
And a lot of folks are worried with AI. They worry that, it's coming to take everybody's job. But what this really is a tool to enhance, to make our jobs, like we said, DJ said at the beginning, to help us be more human with our interactions, to take out some of the mundane. But you mentioned a while ago, you said, it'll save a few minutes here, a few minutes there. I was kind of looking at my own private life. Where am I wasting time and how can I solve it? And the math came up that if I could just pick 10 minutes a day, I've got 2 extra days built into my year just from saving 10 minutes a day. So these little things just add up to such big things, and they do make it so that our team and ourselves can just feel a little less stressed knowing that things are getting taken care of. So some of those fears, I think people just need to get in and kind of get their feet wet. This is, it's not coming to take over. It's just a tool in our toolbox, the term we used a while ago. It's just one more tool in our toolbox. So, but what you said there, I think that's powerful, DJ, that, the phone's going to get answered. The message that you want to deliver is going to be delivered in a way that's, that sounds, even though we can say it, that's a AI, it sounds natural. We can change the voice so that it sounds like it's from where I'm from or where they're from. And so there's so many different things we can do here to keep it from becoming, from losing the human touch. And so I guess with all of that being said, what I'm kind of getting to is there anything else? How can we get it from just becoming, just another tool in the toolbox that just rusts and doesn't get used the way that it should? So, I mean, how can we really get in and get the most from these tools?
Yeah, I think opening up the conversation to more than just your top level executive staff, right? Get feedback from your ground user or your ground employees, or I call them users because it's software, right? If you might think that your business operates a certain way, and in all actuality, if I was to go talk to one of the employees you have under you, they operate completely different than what you told me and how you told me they operate. Well, what do we want to do there? We want to understand how they're actually operating. We want to build, use cases, bring that back to you and say, hey, this is how they're actually operating. What do you want to do here? Do you want to, optimize for how they're doing it now? And then you have a high level understanding, and it's actually flows through the, different departments back up to the top. And so we like to start from the bottom and evaluate that and work our way back up instead of starting from the top, really, and trying to push and force a system to move downwards. Little different perspective there.
No, I think that's a brilliant answer.
I agree. I think that was a great answer, and I think that's the way it needs to. I mean, that's the way you win. Anybody who's listening to this right now, I mean, that's the way you win as a leader of a company. That's the way your organization wins. That's the way your customers have amazing customer service, and everybody's happy. You have to see what's going on in the front lines. And how are
in front of your customer? That's the most important perspective you've got. And if you're not taking advantage of seeing things from that perspective, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Survey tools are really useful there to get that feedback from the customer. And I mean, immediately after you set a lead or you do a presentation or you get some kind of touch point, you want to ask. It's like a performance evaluation even. A survey going out, hey, how was our representative? How knowledgeable were they? Were they able to answer all of your questions? And if they say yes, then you're meeting the bar. If they say no, then you have something to work on. And that's easily achievable with a survey tool.
A little sideways here, but we talk a lot about franchisees, and we're talking with people that might be investigating different franchises that are out there. One of the things I would advise you to look for and ask in your due diligence is, does the franchisor come to the franchisee for their perspective and their feedback? Do they have an advisory council for that very same reason? If they're not learning from the franchisees who are on the front line every day, they're missing the boat of what's going to make that franchise fly. So if you're just investigating, that's something to ask. And, does this franchisor listen and take heed to what they hear?
Yes. Great question. And I think, and for anybody who's out there, again, the reason, if you are looking between, again, franchising is not just there's no one solution. Everybody does franchising their own way. So franchise systems have their own way of doing things. And so you really do want to get into the deep with that. And that's, one thing Patrick Michael Donahue was big with, was getting into the fundamentals of the franchises. Because again, that's gonna make a huge difference of how everything kind of plays out for you. And that's really what we're trying to help you avoid. And that's one of the reasons for these for podcasts and shows like this, y'all. It's to books, podcast, people giving advice. Again, anybody has a story, and if anything, you could just learn from their mistakes. That's why I'll take advice or listen to anybody's story or information or whatever they want to share, because there's something out of there that you can get. And if anything, the worst case you get, and just learn from their mistakes. And where everybody makes mistakes, if you didn't make enough mistakes, you just aren't trying hard enough. And you better get out there and try more, because that's the only way you really learn is from mistakes. So I'm glad we went there. I want to get more on the customer side of things and the engagement of team, because I think that's where AI, and I think that's the missing link of this for anybody who is out there. And again, for y'all, just if you're hopping on now or catching this later on, again, we got Johnny from Voice AI. This is what you're looking for. BidTech IO, or at the bottom you see. But really, we want you to understand that it's that human interaction. It's what Johnny and his team's trying to pull out when they're breaking down your processes is what can a computer do that doesn't need that meaningful touch of a human. Again, there are a lot of things that in a process, but like one thing you touched on, and where I'm really going into, is that FU that we talked about. That it's the follow up. A lot of this is the follow up. A lot of this is the speed to lead, is the how quick are you responding? Because customers, when somebody has a solution, and again, y'all, I feel like I'm a repeating endless box of this, but I feel like I have this going on constantly in my head. Is what do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? What is next? What is next? What is next? And you're always thinking of what is next, that you're skipping a lot of the specific things. And when you have an AI that could do the computer things, again, those mundane things that Coach talked about, so you can focus more on the meaningful things. That's really what we're trying to just have us slow down and have people slow down on here on the Robin Hood Capitalist. We want you to take that minute and focus on what is the meaningful things in your day to day. So it's when Johnny, when Dr. Steve, when all of these, when we're getting into that first initial consultation, or even Coach is getting into that process of what is your day to day. We're not looking at what your schedule looks like, or Coach, you gave a great example of how you are now starting to look inwardly on your, what does my day to day look like, and what can I, and this is Coach now breaking down himself and his business, what can I maybe use AI, maybe use a tool like Johnny has, or voice AI or something like that. That's where we're trying to, I guess, simplify. Again, it's there are simple ways to do things, but it's not simple because there's so much information. There's so many different AI things like ChatGPT. So Johnny, something like ChatGPT, where people are like, okay, everybody has this buzz of ChatGPT, 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 but then they go to it and they're like, I don't know what the heck to do with this. It's just this box that says, I'm like, well, what am I? Okay, there's the buzz of this, but what does that actually do? And I think that's where people are getting lost in what it can actually do. And it's one of those situations, guys, that I think you need somebody who really is going and makes their living there. I think this goes into a simpler, and I think I just long-winded this too. It's that idea of, if you've ever heard of the story, and I don't want to go even more long-winded, but I want to get it to where I'm trying to get it to, which is the point of an architect goes studied these machines for 30 plus years, goes and gives this invoice for $20,000 after he walked around this machine for a week, nail and pounded on this one spot, and then sends an invoice for 20 grand, and it says, the guy says, I want a line item invoice of what exactly you did. Because I don't think you going around like you pounding on this justifies paying $20,000 for this. And so the engineer sends a line invoice of $19,999 of the information, the research, the studying, the schooling, the all of that it took to know where to hit, and the $1 for the knocking of the spot. And that's the invoice sent back. But I think that's where we miss. We think now, because we have information readily at our hands, we think that there is no specialized, like something that Johnny and his team does with AI, that again, it's a tool that's there, but it can be used for so many things. So it's needing to find the right source, the right trusted source, like Johnny, like BidTech, like somebody who's working with AI, to now connect you to the use cases of where it can actually help you. Because again, ChatGPT is another thing that is an AI tool that people are throwing out there that's got a lot of buzz, but I think that's where it's confused a lot of people. It's now people have played with it, people have used it, but I don't even think they understand to the levels of what ChatGPT can do. So again, I think we're now in a society where there's so much information that they can get information right away, but are they getting good information? Are you getting the right information? And are you getting trusted information? And that's where now you have to go back to a person. You have to, in the end, you want to connect to a human, somebody like Johnny, who is going through those processes, somebody like Coach. There's probably an AI coach, but again, if they're not asking you the right questions personally, you to you, and really getting into the weeds with you, they don't know what you're missing. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at is it's that human touch that in the end you have to ask the right questions, and it's getting to that human touch. So Johnny, I guess getting how do we get people past that scared threshold of, okay, this sounds like the movies. Now there's ChatGPT. I've seen AI. It doesn't work for me. Other people are saying ChatGPT. Other people are saying these other AI use cases, these other AI systems out there. But how do we get them to reach out to somebody like you, reach out to your team, and find the answers where it really connects to them, so they can now start to use this, and where it can show that it buys back that time, so they're not wasting it on all these other systems that they're just being sold.
Yeah. Uh, so I think of a very particular use case there. We had a client that said, I want to have my sales team deliver to the client what should they expect from us, and what can they expect from us, right? And across the board. And I would like it to be uniform. And I have some salespeople that overpromise and just come out of left field with all these things that we're going to do, and then we don't do it, and now we look bad, right? So I said, okay, let's start with a strategy and a plan. And what are we after? Well, what we're after is saying the same thing to every customer. Well, if we want to say the same thing to every customer, why don't we use a tool like an avatar presentation, where we're integrating ChatGPT and we're formulating exactly what we're after, and we're going through with prompt engineering to understand, like, I want to deliver this, and then I want to deliver this, and then I want it to deliver this. And now we're plugging that into an avatar that's going to speak that looks like the company representative, that is a representative of the company. Now we're taking that and we're embedding that into an email that delivers to the customer when they sign up. So now when the customer signs up with us, that gets delivered as a presentation that's speaking to them, that's saying the same thing fluently every single time. It's not going to change its wording. It's not on its own. That is why we planned it, strategized it, and created it to do that thing. And so it's never going to stop doing that thing. And it's going to achieve, and has helped the client to now have their client understand exactly what they should expect from the customer, or from the company. Excuse me.
So I'm sure there are people out there who we would call doubters. And so I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. There was video slowing up on the back end there.
Oh, you're good.
So I'm sure we got people that are doubters, and the technology is kind of new. So not even sure if these studies exist. But if I'm sitting here thinking, well, my frontline people are better than any AI would be, and I'm convinced that it's not gonna, it just can't be as good as a real person. Are there any studies, or how would you approach someone that comes in with really high skepticism?
Yeah, let's run a use case, or let's run a test trial. Give me a small portion of your client base, agree that what I've delivered and our team has delivered as far as a solution, and let's run that, and let's get those numbers back, and let's talk to those clients and see what they thought about that process. Let's talk to your sales team and see what their take is. When I launched that presentation to the sales team, they were all like, wow, like, now I don't have to remember to say so many things in my script, in my sales flow, because the AI presentation did it for me. And so now I can just focus on the things that, only I would know as a sales professional for this organization, right? That I can focus on to help that client. So I would say, it starts, just let's do a test run with your company, with your clients, with your team, and see if it works. And if that works, then you're not going to want to go backwards, right? You're going to want to build on top of that and continue pushing to see what else we can do. And that's a question we get a lot. Well, what else can we do? And then we look at the next step. Okay, you got transparency of what you're going to deliver to your client. What's the next thing you want to do? Well, we want our salespeople to follow up more. great. Let's put into play a voice call system, touch points. What are those touch points you want to deliver on, and how often do you want to deliver on those? I know it's not you want to have a one-time follow-up on your clients. No, you probably want to have a touch point of 6, 7, 8, 10 times, if that's what it takes. And so we want to inject some of those additional opportunities, whether that's an email automation, a text automation, some of the other options, voice phone call going out, and really just start to embed some of those new technologies that are there to solve for those.
Yeah, cool. The when we talked last Tuesday, one of the things, and that's kind of what we're getting to here, that I was kind of wanting to get into a little more, was just the ability to customize and make changes and do those A/B type testing. Because one of the great things about AI is the data analysis. So you can analyze what message your customers are responding to and which ones they're not, and make those adjustments very quickly, I'm assuming. So if we do this test and we find out that one thing is working better than another, how difficult is it to switch my campaign at that point?
Yeah, not difficult at all. You're gonna push play and it's gonna run continuously. Voice of the customer is now what technology is framing this around, and it's going to give you things like, okay, from all of your reviews, it's going to look at your reviews and it's going to share with you, say, a word cloud, but then also graphs of what are the red, yellow, or green, yellow, and red responses that you've gotten from customers and clients. What are some of the high level things that we're getting complaints around? Well, one was customer service. One was follow up. Nobody gave me information, or nobody followed up with me, or some of those things. But then you say, okay, well, over time and across all of your platforms, what are the responses from just a general chat? Like, we have a chat here on this podcast, and if there was a lot of responses here, it could grab those responses and tell us immediately, what are they talking about? What are they after? What do they want? And if we know what they want, now we can deliver on what their expectation is. And if we can deliver on their expectation, we increased their satisfaction. So AI can do that very quickly for you. It's built into our cloud systems, and gives you a high level view of what is your customer asking for, and what are they after.
Voice of the customer, I love that. And the great thing there, DJ, let's think about how hard it was. Number one, how can you even collect the data of what's going back and forth when you've got teams going out in different directions and different people calling and answering calls? So collecting the data was virtually impossible. And then once we figured out what the problem was, then there's training issues and everything else. And now this is collecting it, and it's building your training plan right there. So now I know where we're deficient on our team. Here's some things we need to work on our messaging for the live team, as well as teaching the AI to be better on the front end. So now it's just improving exponentially throughout the entire organization. So I think that was a cool answer.
Yeah, and Coach, I agree you went with that. And again, I think what it's doing is it's really just honing in, and it's AI allows the ability to again, it's data, and data gives you everything. I mean, data is going to tell you, like, if you can break down this word versus that word, and you're maybe this AI model is using this wording and this way, and you have two different models that are using two different words. You can, I mean, maybe it's just one word, but with the data that it's able to pull, I mean, you can. Now you're able to evaluate so much on the lowest level of even communication. I mean, that's how these big guys do it. I mean, that's how this world interacts. Some things seem this phone is always listening to us. We're sitting here talking, and if we should talk on maybe talk on canoes, I'm going to say canoes a few times, so that when you guys all get off, you'll see Facebook and Google and all these places are going to show you canoe ads and canoe this and canoe that, because I just talked about canoes and you weren't even looking up canoes. But that's that's how this works, and that's how AI works, and that's how the data works.
Hey,
And
be
I
a little
think
more specific and say bass fishing canoes, because
bass fishing.
that's something that I could use. So I hope you're listening, Mr. Fong.
Mr. Google and Mr. Facebook, bass fishing canoes. That's what Coach wants to see.
Yeah, help me out, FBI monitor.
Oh, we're going off the rails. But all right. Well, I want to wrap this up. So, Johnny, obviously, again, let everybody know where they can reach out to you if they do want to give this a test drive, if they do want to see how to simplify their life and become more human, how they can use AI for good. Where can they find Johnny? Where can they get a hold of you? Let them, give them where they can reach out.
Yeah, go to bidtech.io. We have a chat box there. You can chat with us directly. You can even call us by clicking on the call button there. And you're more than welcome to sign up for one of the services. We'll speak to you first before we approve it. Understand who you are. If I got to come out and meet with your team, and maybe it's the owner and a couple of the salespeople, and maybe you guys decide that you want to test run this with just a few of your salespeople. We're willing to do that. We're willing to set up individual automations so you can get a feel for it before you go all in with the entire company. I know a lot of times that's a big ask, right, and a heavy lift. So just using small use cases leads to more. And if you absolutely love what AI and cloud solutions can bring to your company, you're going to see it pretty immediately. At least on individual tools, how they're increasing the capabilities of your company and your staff. So I would say, hey, we're going to start small. You're going to see some of these efficiencies take effect right away, and then some of the larger projects we're going to work with you on, and we're going to continue those developments with you. We want long-term relationships with our clients. So we're all in on the support side, on the training your staff how to use the systems, and development of those systems, integrations, etc.
I love that. Test drive before you buy, guys. That's listen, there's nothing better than that. Try it out. Again, watch how AI will just simplify your life and make you feel more human. I really, again, just with some of the basics that we use AI here at the show. I mean, the stuff we would have to do to break down video, to get all these questions, to do all this stuff, it would be insane. I don't even know how many people or what team or what it would take to do it. So again, y'all don't try it out. Reach out to Johnny. Coach,
So
final thoughts.
I'm a notorious note taker. I've got like hundreds of these things just around with all kinds of notes in it. But as a coach now, I use AI tools to even help with my coaching appointments to see what were the hot topics, to grade myself, how much time am I spending talking versus listening, and it analyzes each and every call and hot button, and so that for the next time we talk, I'm much better prepared. And so there's so many different applications of these things, but I will definitely attest that it does take a lot of the kind of rote stuff, the just mundane stuff. It takes it out and is a wonderful tool to help with it.
Would you be okay with going backwards and not having that?
No, I don't want to at all. Not at all. And my notes are great. They're detailed, but I can't even read my own handwriting a week later.
What did I say here?
Yeah, and occasionally the tool will miss up a word or something that is kind of funny too.
Oh, man.
So it still requires a human, right? Like
Yeah,
a lot less work, and
a lot less work.
that's what we're after. And transcribing, videos, conferences, calls, all of that. It's gonna, you don't have to write down so many notes. No, it can actually transcribe for you as well. With who was the speaker versus speaker.
Yeah, that's what it's doing for me now on the back end. It's great. So one coaching call very recently was just going back through a transcript of a call that they led to show, okay, let's analyze this together and see where we won and where we didn't win, and it's incredibly powerful.
I love it. I love it, y'all. Well, if you guys like this, if you like the information you got, again, reach out to Johnny. Voice AI, Big Tech. get 3 bids. Reach out to Johnny. You won't be disappointed. I promise. It's
Bidtech.io, and you don't even have to put www. Just bidtech.io and let it go.
That's it. Vidtech.io and let it go. That's it. So if you're ready to simplify your life, you're ready to ADD it and become more human, reach out to Vidtech.
Yeah. And one last thing, DJ, these cloud systems actually allow you to do some customizations and some of those things on your own. If you want to be involved in that process and you want to build and you're a builder and you have ideas and you want to do that, we'll actually go through that with you and show you how to use the system and show you how to automate on your own. And so you can take some of those, you don't have to make it go live, right? Until we looked at it and we say, yeah, that looks right. That's not going to break anything. But if you're that kind of person and you're creative and you want to, get into systems and do that, we're willing to support you in that too. So,
that's dangerous, but you heard it, y'all. You heard it. And again, I love that. I love that
you
you
part
guys
is
are
trying
willing
to break
do
it. So that's the fun part is trying to break it.
Yeah, let's try to break this.
Let's see what this sucker will do.
Oh man. Well, again, thank you all for joining us live. Thank you for the comments. Hello to the users out there. And if you are catching this later on and you liked what you heard, you want more on AI, you want more on BidTech, you want more of this, make sure to like and subscribe to Robinhood Capitalist. We're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays, we always have a guest. Again, next week, we will have Daniela, Bianca, and her husband, Tony, from House Doctors. So be ready for that. Thursday, we will be breaking this down, getting into a little bit more of the, just some more great AI bugs that Johnny planted here for me and Coach to break down on Thursday. We do, again, here at the Robinhood Capitalist, we just want to simplify your life. Life is not simple. We know it's not easy. It never will be, but you can simplify it. And using AI, using some of these things, using coaches like Coach Stacy, can help you simplify, help you find, and Coach Johnny over here at VidTech. But again, we really do just want to help simplify your life, help you find and use that time for the more meaningful things, which is your relationships, is that human contact. You don't need so much time on tech anymore. We don't need any more of this. We need more face-to-face like we have on Zoom here, or even more, better yet, in person. So use AI for what it can to simplify, to ADD, automate, delegate, delete, take those time-consuming things, those time-busy, again, CRM. I've lived in this space. I'm here in this space again. I'm planting the seed for these guys over at Senate Pest Control. But let's CRM, let's simplify, let's make this easier for voice AI to answer and get the information you need from your team, but make it a little bit easier so they can now do what they need to do, but quicker and easier. Make sure your customers are happy, make sure they're happy, and so that they have more time with their families and loved ones as well. And again, that's what we want. We want to help you all create your heaven on earth. So if you feel like you're being dragged down by the never-ending new systems, CRM, the new this, the new that, the new this, that you feel like you're just spending so much more time on your phone, on computers, and even that busy time after work. Because again, that's what for your teams out there. If you feel like you're hearing nonstop leaders out there, your teams are saying, "Oh, I'm sick of this CRM. I don't want to add this. I don't want to add that. I don't want to do this." Might be time to reach out to Johnny, reach out to the team over at BidTech, and see how AI can maybe simplify some of that stuff, so you're not becoming an ever evolving glass door that seems to not be having people come in. Because Coach, you nailed it. Finding people to work right now with all the options out there, with AI, with stuff like that, it's getting harder, y'all. So you want to take care of your team, you want to take care of your frontline workers, and you want to take care of the customer, because in the end, that's who's dealing with them. So use AI, use it how you can. So again, I say it every day. I'm ending it the same way as I do every day. if you know somebody out there who, or you yourself, you hate Mondays, you're always sick on Sundays, or you know that person or that employee or that team member, or you have team members who are constantly always sick on hate Mondays or always sick on Sundays, there's something going wrong in your process. There's something going wrong that AI and bid tech, voice AI might be able to simplify to help you to help ease that for your team and make it a better place for everybody. And that's what we want here at the Robinhood campus. So again, until Thursday, y'all, Coach, thank you. Johnny, thank you again for last minute jumping on.
For sure.
And again, Thursday, y'all, be ready. 9 a.m.
9
Watch,
a.m.
look out, be on the lookout.
Before you
Coming
hit
to you
that
again.
button, DJ, one last statement. Companies that are early
us out.
adopters will attract the best talent. If you bring in systems that make it easier than the other companies they've worked for, the word is going to spread. You're going to grab those top producers and they're going to want to work for you because they're going to see how happy the other people that already work for you are.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to be a destination workplace? That's a theory.
Yes.
Destination workplace. Let's end with that. Do it
Thank
right,
you.
y'all. Reach out to Johnny and make your place the destination workplace of tomorrow.
Yeah, there we go. Good end.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid.